Welcome back to Wellness Wednesday through Palm Beach State College's Institute of Excellence in Early Care and Education. My name's Emily Sardina. I'm your life skills coach for today, and I'm here to help early educators thrive, not just survive, in early education. Today, we're going to be talking about something that affects everybody, regardless of if it's the educator, staff, parent, and everybody in between. That topic is procrastination. We're going to explore why procrastination happens and how you can combat it today. First, let's talk about what procrastination is. It's not just being lazy or unmotivated, which I think a lot of people kind of have a misconstrued idea of what it is. It's a complex behavior often tied to fear, stress, and perfectionism. For early educators, the demands of lesson planning, managing a classroom, and also being able to maintain a work-life balance can be really hard, and it leads to the fear of not being able to do that. When tasks are daunting or we're really worried about getting them done, it's really easy to kind of push them to the side, right? Procrastination might look like putting off your lesson plan or avoiding organizing that one side of the classroom. But what is it really? We're going to dive into what the root causes of procrastination are and how you can fix it. Let's break down some causes of procrastination first so we can get a better idea of what the reasoning is behind it. First off is burnout. A lot of us have heard that term, but what does it mean really? Basically, it's when you're exhausted or you're mentally drained from something that is regular in your life. It can be something in your personal life, but in this context, we're going to focus on what it means in your role at a center. When you feel mentally and emotionally drained, even the most simple tasks can feel emotionally draining or exhausting to have to do physically. If you're constantly aiming for the perfect classroom and waiting for the time to start because I'm going to make the perfect lesson plan or I'm going to figure out how to have the most balanced classroom, then you're often not going to reach that because, spoiler alert, nothing is perfect. And it never will be. And while hearing that can sound really upsetting to some people, it's also a really easy way to release those feelings off of yourself of trying to be perfect. There's also decision fatigue, and that's basically where you've spent all day making so many small decisions that by the time it gets to the end of the day, your brain is just completely exhausted and you don't have the capacity to make those decisions anymore. Whether you're suffering from decision fatigue, burnout, or a mixture of perfectionism and all of these other reasons, let's talk about some ways that you can combat procrastination. So break tasks into smaller chunks. Basically what this means is instead of thinking, oh, I have an entire lesson planned that I have to make by tomorrow, think about it in a smaller piece. Start with, I need to figure out one activity to do next week on Wednesday. That makes it easier for you to begin the thinking process, to begin to make decisions better, and to kind of get the ball rolling on thinking about what you have to do for the full lesson plan. Also, when we see something smaller, we feel like it's a lot more easily attainable than if we look at the big picture and think, oh my gosh, I have to accomplish all of that and I still haven't started. A really good rule to live by is the 2-minute rule. This goes for at home and in the workplace. Basically what it is if something can take 2 minutes or less to do it right now. Don't put it off. If it's something little, like picking something off the floor, do it right now. Don't tell yourself, I'm going to go back and pick that up later, because oftentimes we're not going to, because we're going to have 10 other decisions to make by the time we think about going back to pick up that thing off the floor. Prioritize self-care to prevent burnout in the first place. Self-care is really different for everybody, and you may already have that developed in your head of what you like to do for self-care. But the issue is, and the main point is, that when you are burnt out and you're not taking time for yourself, it's too hard to be able to make decisions, especially in the workplace, when you're mentally drained and exhausted. Self-care can look like taking a 5 to 10 minute walk, meditating or praying, or investing in a hobby like reading. It can look different for everybody, so those are just some examples, but the point is that you have to prioritize it and make sure that you're getting it in multiple times a week, or else you're going to experience that burnout if you haven't already, which is what leads to procrastination. Embrace what's good enough. Let's talk about perfectionism. It's okay to aim for good enough or the best you feel you can do. It's hard to measure up on a certain scale that we create in our heads. Obviously, if you have certain rules to follow in your center, You have to abide by those. But sometimes we put these expectations on ourselves and we don't even realize it. Make sure to stay conscious of those and realize that the best that you can do is the best that there is. Also, getting something done is better than getting something done perfect and waiting months or weeks to do it. And lastly, accountability and support. You're in a center where there are other teachers and staff. Lean on them for support. They're there for you, and they probably also want support from you as well. They'll know exactly what you're going through, and they can help you better when it comes to trying to make a tough decision, or even if you just need a little help. Remember, it's okay to ask for help. You don't have to do everything on your own and feel like you have to carry all the burden or the weight. Let me share a real life example. One of my practitioners that I work with, an early educator, was feeling really drained and mentally tired and stressed from the idea of having to make parent communication. She felt that it was always going to end up leading to a tough conversation, so she would tend to put off the conversation as long as possible. We worked on breaking down her communication into small bite-sized pieces. This can look like sending a really quick parent letter home or putting up an announcement about something that's going to change in the classroom. This made the process feel less overwhelming and less like she was putting off this big, large task of parent communication. Procrastination is challenging, but you can get through it. Remember, you're not alone in this. Every educator has feelings of being overwhelmed, whether it's in the classroom, in the center, or at home. It's about finding what works for you and making progress doing it. So the next time you feel like putting off that task that might take under 2 minutes, think about these tips. Think about what overwhelms you and how you can make it more manageable. Thanks for tuning into Wellness Wednesday. We look forward to seeing you next week, and I hope that you gained some help from watching this video. Bye!